that's where you come in. I'm meeting with a group of a dozen leading economists today to discuss these issues in my office. And one of the things they talk about is this, the effect on wages as a consequence of this education gap that continues to grow in America. And you are a critical element in closing that gap. You're the key institutions that can restore the bargain and bring more people back in the deal. And that's why in 2010 we invested another $850 million over 10 years to support HBCUs. And each year HBCUs receive more than $1 billion in federal investment activities, such as research, infrastructure, and other investments, training, and more than $3 billion in federal aid to students. That's why we felt so strongly the need to increase Pell Grants by $1,000 since 2008. Pell Grants to HBCUs increased from $608 million to more than $740 million over this time. We've capped student loan repayment at 10% of income so you can pursue a career of your dreams like social work or education without overwhelming your income. We've expanded tax credits for college tuition, which is not that much help to people at the bottom of the ladder, but at $10,000 over a 4-year period. But it's a help to an awful lot of kids on the edge and in the middle class. By making college more affordable, we make it more accessible. That helps ensure that we have the most skilled workforce in the world. Last year, the president asked me at the State of the Union address to do an across-the-board review of America's training programs and determine job training programs, to determine the educational needs for all those future jobs. And over 6 months, I traveled across the country from California to Virginia to South Carolina, meeting with hundreds of CEOs, educators, and labor leaders. And one of the things we found was that by the end of this decade, 6 in 10 jobs are going to require something beyond a high school diploma. Sometimes as little as a 12-week certificate, 2-year associate's degree, 4-year bachelor's degrees, to a PhD. So that's why the president and I proposed making 2 years of community college free for everyone. Now, that proposal in Congress includes an additional $10 billion for HBCUs. And the president and I support this. Look, we found that jobs in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, STEM, are the second fastest growing jobs in the economy behind healthcare. And over their lifetime, STEM majors make $500,000 more than non-STEM majors. But to get the job in a STEM field, 12 years of education is not enough. By the end of the decade, over 90% of STEM jobs are going to require education beyond high school. And STEM occupations are vital to our competitiveness. These are the fields that, spark integration, create ideas, and grow the economy. In other words, the country cannot lead if we don't lead in STEM. But according to the National, missing out on incredible talent and creativity, that we need to compete in the global economy. I just spoke last night to an Indian American conference. It was what we call a strategic economic dialogue with the leaders of India and the United States and the leading businesses of both. And I talked about human capital and how India, quite frankly, is squandering an awful lot of its human capital. And I pointed out we're squandering a lot of it too. The human capital that you husband is critically important to what kind of country we're going to be and how competitive we'll be in the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years. I can do anything and get nurtured along the way and not lose people along the way. You never leave anybody behind. You don't, no, I'm serious. I sincerely mean this. You have high academic standards, but what I observe is it's almost what is built into at least all of the many HBCUs campuses I've been on and people I've gotten to know, is this sense that you educate but you mentor the whole time. You constantly embrace these young women and men. Because there's not a single solitary child in America given an opportunity that doesn't have the capacity to do great things. But part of it is just being exposed. Just simply being exposed. And so, folks, from my perspective, that's what you've always been about. Now, here's the point. They're engaged in, again, offering possibilities to their students who are fully, thoroughly, completely capable of doing all that needs to be done to succeed in the area of STEM education. And these are good paying jobs. Information security analyst with a bachelor's degree, there's a starting salary of $86,000 a year with a bachelor's degree, and they're badly needed. We need to make sure HBCUs have more funding for programs like these. So the president and I, we're optimistic about the future of HBCUs, and we're committed to that future. I hold the view, and I have had my entire career, that regardless of economic status, every child in this country, given the opportunity, having an aperture made open for him or her, is fully, thoroughly capable of doing anything any other student is. I have seen it. You have seen it. You know it. And the thing that makes you so incredibly important is that you give an entire cadre of this population, which we need badly, to be more engaged in the higher echelons of this economy. You give them the sense that they can do this. They can do this. Now look, I'll be straight with you. I know a lot of you were a little bit upset when we called for 2 years of free community college. Some of you are my friends who head these universities who called me and said, Joe, is that going to undercut us? Is that going to undercut us? We're having financial difficulties right now. We're all having financial difficulties, at least almost everyone is. The answer is it will not. It will not. What we're trying to do is make it clear to the country, make it clear to everyone, that 12 years of education is no longer enough to compete in the 21st century. It's simply not available. And so these students, they just need an opportunity. And we need to provide opportunities for all students, especially in the community, to have a pathway to the middle class. You know, I know I'm referred to in